Hare Krishna. So let's get started with the prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanachalakaya Chakshirunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Vicharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Bhashya Dadeshitharine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone and welcome again. Thank you for joining. I know it's a holiday season and everybody has their own plan. Everybody's traveling. In the mid of all that, you still taken out the time. Really appreciate that. So we thought of discussing some questions and it will be like more of open question and answers. Sometimes people say that this spiritual life is all about just blind faith. You have to just follow something. If you want to be spiritual, somebody will tell you, do this, do this, do this, and you just follow. If you ask any question, then there will be a question that why you're asking the question. But that is not what the reality is. In fact, you take all our scriptures, any of our scriptures, they begin with question and answers only. We talk about Bhagavad Gita. Gita is nothing but it's a conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. It begins with the question. Dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yusava mamaga pandava sheva kim kurvada sanjaya. That is a question. And then Arjuna asks a lot of questions. So this is how the Bhagavad Gita is. So it's about questions and their answers. We talk about Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam begins with question. The very first chapter of Bhagavatam is, what is the first chapter? Those who are reading Bhagavatam daily. We just finished the first chapter. Yes, first chapter of the Bhagavatam is the questions by the sages. So there are 6 questions has been asked by the sages in Naimisharanya. And the entire Bhagavatam builds upon those questions. Right. So Bhagavatam is question answer. Talk about Ramayana, it begins with a question. Question has been asked, is there someone who has all these qualities? There are 16 qualities has been mentioned. And the question is asked that is there someone who manifests all those qualities? And then in response, it has been explained, okay, that person is there on this planet and that person is Lord Ramchandra. This is how the Ramayana begins. So this is a false notion that some people have that, spirituality, there is no scope of asking the questions. In fact, Krishna encourages in the Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, one of the sessions we recently discussed. I think we'll be discussing that more, where it is said, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. That the secret of progressing in spiritual life is pariprashna. You should ask the questions, right? But also there is a guidance, there is a guideline. When you ask the question, how to ask the question? See, everybody in this world is asking the question. You go on the Google, right? What is happening there? Chat GPT, what is happening? People are asking questions. Somebody should Google and check out that how many questions has been asked on Google every day. With millions and billions of questions has been discussed, right? So asking question is a very natural instinct of a human being. And that is what makes us very special as humans, that we are given this developed consciousness, this intelligence to ask the question. But also along with that ability, we need the guidance, the direction. What kind of question should be asked? So spirituality does not discourage us to ask the question. It is basically encourages us with certain guidelines. That okay, you ask the question, but how to ask the question? Tadvidhi pranipadena pariprashnena sevaya. You ask the question, but before that, you should have that humility, pranipad, submissiveness. If you ask the questions, especially in the spiritual journey, you can't ask the question in a very challenging way. You can ask also, and you can get the answers also, but it doesn't help. It doesn't lead you to any meaningful direction, in any meaningful direction. It's just more of like, egoistic satisfaction. And I challenged someone and they couldn't answer me. If they answer, I'll question their answer. If that is the mood, somebody asks the question, then there is no meaning to all that conversation. So this false notion that this questioning is not encouraged is not the right thing and not the right understanding, but asking the right questions. Right. So this is how our scriptures are all about. So today we thought we'll have some live questions, open questions. Questions can be based on whatever we have been discussing in our sessions, various different forums, Gita live sessions, or it can be any generic question, any some practical questions, and we'll see. We'll try to share some thoughts based on what inspiration Krishna gives in the heart. So we'll take up some questions and discuss that. Okay, so I think with that we can begin our discussion. So any questions? I think you have received some questions, right? So we can just take some questions and we can take some live questions also if anybody is here. Okay, so the question one, what is the right way and right approach to read and understand Bhagavad Gita? Yeah, this is a wonderful question and very, very relevant question. As you're talking about asking questions and the right way of questions. So it is said, our scriptures begins, Vedanta Sutra begins with Athato Brahma Jigyasa. All right. So the Jigyasa should be there, but Brahma Jigyasa. So this is the right Jigyasa, that how to read Bhagavad Gita. What is the right approach? It is very interesting. When Prabhupada was traveling around the world, and in one place, somebody asked Srila Prabhupada that Swamiji, there is already so many versions of Bhagavad Gita. Why one more English translation of Bhagavad Gita? So yes, that is true, that there are more than thousands of different interpretations on Bhagavad Gita. But Prabhupada says that I found not even a single interpretation which is in line with what Krishna wants to convey. People just interpret the way they want to interpret, and the whole message, the whole, the intent of speaking Bhagavad Gita is distorted. So when we're talking about this, how to read Bhagavad Gita, one very important thing comes is that this is the knowledge which is also said as aparushaya. Aparushaya means it is not the knowledge which is spoken by any ordinary man of this world. It is not given by any mortal being. Aparushaya means it is transcendental knowledge. Right? And when we talk about transcendental knowledge, there is understanding that this knowledge, it is Dharmam tu Sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. These are the words of the Supreme Lord. So with that understanding, we should derive one understanding here that there is no scope of any kind of modification, any kind of addition to this knowledge. So this is a very, very fundamental thing, that whenever we think or we start reading Bhagavad Gita, it should be read under the guidance of a bona fide guru. That is the right approach. We just randomly pick something, Google something, okay, tell me this from Bhagavad Gita. You will get some answers. It will be just more of like information. But the purpose of knowledge is not information. Purpose of knowledge is transformation. You can get the information, but there will be no transformation. So my answer to this question is right approach, right ways. Go under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master in the right tradition. And then tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. First become submissive, inquire submissively, ask all your questions. But not only just ask the question, but also do some seva. And that is how, this knowledge will be revealed in the heart. So this process of inquiring this knowledge is not about just information gathering. Okay, I read, I memorized 2 times, 3 times. Now I'm very knowledgeable person. This is not that kind of information gathering. So right ways, Go under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. Submissively, first submit yourself, ask the questions, and also render the seva. So this is a little philosophical answer. Practical thing is that make some schedule daily. That okay, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, one verse, or two verse of Bhagavad Gita, I will read daily. Right. And then if possible, put it in your calendar. The same time every day you should follow the schedule. Now, many times we take the New Year resolutions, now New Year is coming. Some of you might be taking resolutions, but that ends by the end of the first week of New Year. Right. And the next year again, you take the resolution to, resume your last year resolutions. So this is the kind of, it becomes a joke. So we should not end up doing that. We should take the resolution definitely, but do something which is more practical. And you should have a plan that how you're going to execute to achieve these resolutions like that. So some practical tips are set aside some time. Generally, people make some resolution. Okay, every day I'll read Bhagavad Gita. It is already with this kind of resolution, you already made a statement that you're going to fail. I'll daily read Bhagavad Gita. It's not the right way of saying that. You should say that I'll read daily Bhagavad Gita 10 minutes or 15 minutes or one verse or two verse and this time. Then there is a possibility that you will be able to follow that. Randomly you say I'll read. When you will read? Morning when you think of reading, say I'll read today evening. And evening you say it's too late, I'll read tomorrow. And that's the end of your resolution. Right. So these are some practical things, small things which helps. So set aside some time, whatever time works best for you, which is relatively little free time that you are not amid of some other complex and busy things like that. Relatively little free time, and then start with some small baby steps, and then gradually, and of course, take some guidance, some practical tips. Keep taking it. Is not like one time thing that I took the guidance like 10 years back. Not like that. You just keep taking the guidance every now and then. When you try something will work, something may not work, then again come back and then. So this is the way, this is the right approach. So consistency. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. That is what our scriptures also guides. It's not like weekly Bhagavad Sevaya or once in a month Bhagavad Sevaya, but it is Nityam, it's daily. So daily, whatever small time you set aside, just do it religiously. And then importantly, just pray to the Lord, to Krishna, Srila Prabhupada, and then they will guide you more and more. So that is what is my answer. Is that okay? Hope that answers. We can take up another question. Okay, so question number 2. If Krishna is the healing herb, as mentioned in 9.16, then why do we need the medicines the doctor recommend? Very important question. All right. It means we are not dependent on Krishna. We are not fully surrendered to Krishna. We are surrendered to the doctor. Krishna will take care. Krishna is saying that Sarvadharman Paritaja Mamekam Sharanam Braja. And Dwam Sarpapebhyo Moksheshami Masucha. If you surrender to me, I'll take care of everything. And then let us surrender why we are going to doctor and all that. Yes. So there's some instructions in Bhagavad Gita, but also we need to very maturely understand and apply those instructions under the right guidance. Otherwise, sometimes we may misunderstand all those instructions or prematurely or immaturely we may try to apply those principles and it may not work. And then we doubt that or whatever it said, it is not working out like that. So yes, that is true. Somebody is fully surrendered to Krishna, dependent on Krishna, Krishna will take care, no doubt. But we need to understand how Krishna takes care. That is where we lack the maturity. There was this village. In this village, there was a flood. So before the flood, there is a warning given that hey, vacate. There is a plan. So vacate the whole village. The announcements was given, and most of the people they vacated the village, except this one person who was a staunch believer of the scriptures. Then God will come, protect me, and like that. He was a priest. So finally, in no time, there was a flood. This person was still there, intact in a temple, and the water was rising gradually. There was another warning, hey, better you just come out now at least. Say, no, my God will protect. I'm dependent on God. And water was rising, rising, rising. Then he went on the terrace, and then water was rising, rising. He was not willing to, move out. There some boat came, people, the rescuer, they're shouting, hey, come on, sit on our boat. We'll take you out. He said, no, my God will protect. They also left. Water was still rising. The whole building was underwater. He was hanging on the top of the terrace somewhere. Water was still rising. There was a helicopter, another rescuing team. They're throwing some, on those ladder. Say, hold on to this. We'll protect you. He said, no, I'm dependent on God. My God will protect. And finally, he died in the water. After death, he went and then he asked the God, what is this God? Like all my life, I worshipped you. I had so much faith in you. And till the last breath of my life, I was having that faith that you will come and protect. But you never came and protected me. And God gave him a nice slap. Says, I sent you the warning. I sent you the people. I sent you the helicopter also, everything. Why do you accept me? So the point is that the God will definitely protect. But how he will protect, we should be mature. So when we talk about being dependent on the Lord, taking Lord's guidance and help, so part of it is when we are sick or we have some problem, going to a doctor is also the part of God's protection. Now we are here in this world, we have to follow they say the law of the land. Either we are like fully 100% surrender. So we should not prematurely assume that I am at that level of 100% surrender. Unless we are at that level, till that time we should follow the law of the land. When we are here in this material world, there are certain laws in this world, and we should abide by the laws. The law of the gravity. If you go on the top of the terrace and jump down, and God will protect me. What is this foolish? God has given you the intelligence. Use your intelligence. That is how the protection will come. You cannot say, oh no, gravity should not act on me because I am surrendered to Krishna. That is foolishness. So it is said, Prabhupada writes in the purports, God help those who help themselves. So we should do our part is very important. We should do what we can do, then God will do what we cannot do. If you don't do what you can do, God will say, why I should do? You are not doing your part and you're expecting me only to do everything. So we should do our part, right? Do your best and leave the rest. That's the formula. Without doing our best and you're leaving everything on Krishna. Krishna is not some, like spaced out person that he has nothing to do. So we should do our part. So it's very, very important. And it's a part of the process when we talk about the surrender. So use your intelligence, whatever resources, intelligence, abilities, the guidance that God has given. Everything should be taken as God's protection, God's guidance. So that is what is the answer to this question. So yes, we should go to the doctor. And after taking the medicine, then you be dependent on Krishna. Because the reality is, despite taking the medicine, there's no guarantee that we'll be protected and we'll be cured. We have many, many examples. And this is confirmed in the Srimad Bhagavatam also by Prahlad Maharaj. Balash Neham Sharanam Pitarau Narsimha. So he says there are many, many examples that wherein, the small child, he dies, though the parents are there, they're putting all their efforts to protect, but still the child dies. People, though in the boat, but still the boat is capsized. All that is possible if they are not protected by the God. So our understanding should be that we are still dependent on Krishna. Though we are going to the doctor, but our dependence is not on doctor. Our dependence is still on Krishna. If Krishna protects, all this medication, this treatment, the doctors, it will work. If Krishna doesn't protect, then the best of the doctors cannot protect someone. And we have many, many examples like that. Right? So this is the right and the mature understanding that we do our part and then we pray to the Lord like that. So prematurely, we should not say that, okay, I'll not do something which has to be done. Okay. Yeah, any other questions here? Anyone who's sitting want to ask live question? Or those who are joining online? Yes. Pro, can you arrange one mic? Yeah, you can just say your.
So see, this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be coming. Was it written in the scriptures also?
Yes, it is written and not in just one or two places. So the question is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is incarnation of God. He has come now. Recently, 500 years back, was it mentioned in the scriptures? Yes, it is mentioned in the Bhagavatam.
Anything is written going forward.
Yes, so many things are written going forward. But most important thing which is written for the future is Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Eva Kevalam, Kalau Naste, 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 Gatiranita. In this modern age of Kali Yuga, the only hope is chanting the holy name. It is written, we should follow that, and we do that. That's the essence. Otherwise, there are so many things are written. There is a there is information about the Kalki and all of that. But in the current age, and which is the most relevant thing for all of us, is what we should do now. We should chant the holy name, which is Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This is very clearly written, and we should follow that.
Then you said like Krishna will, Krishna will come in the form of a Rama. He will take a lot of incarnations, and then he came in the form of Chaitanya, and then Kalki. So this cycle will goes always around and around. Then like this phase will finish, and then it will come again. The same thing.
Yeah. So Krishna says in that verse we were reading recently, Yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. I come again and again. परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे. So that is the answer. Yuga yuga. Again and again, millennium after millennium, I come. So it is eternal thing. Yuga yuga. It is not like one time he will come. He'll set the things right and then after that finish. No, it will come again and again and again. And that is how the God keeps coming.
And this is a cycle will go on and on.
Yeah, there's unlimited incarnations. There's innumerable incarnation. Bhagavatam says, Avatara hi asankhya. We cannot count the incarnations. So it has been coming and it will continue like that in different forms.
So in the same context, we have a question. He came in many avatars like Parshuram, Buddha. But why we predominantly worship Krishna, we of course know because he has 64 out of the 64 counts he is 100%. But why we mainly worship like other Narsimha and other?
We worship Narsimha also.
No,
Like Parshuram, Vamandev,
Buddha.
Why only Krishna? Why we are so fanatic of Krishna?
Krishna we know because he
is the origin.
But
okay, so the question is, there's so many different incarnations. Why we very selectively worship some of the incarnation? Maybe we worship Narsimha, Krishna, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ram. Why not so many? Like, there is a Vaman avatar and there is a Kurma avatar, there is Matsya avatar, and all of that. Yes, we can worship. There's nothing wrong in worshipping. But as we understand that our worship should not be whimsical. It should be always under the guidance of the Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So we take the guidance for everything. We don't just assume, oh no, looks like, I like this particular. Yes, you can have certain inclination, liking. You can worship, there's nothing wrong. But again, the guidance is the best thing. So what the scripture says in Kali Yuga, what is the process recommended? So that is Shastra, what the Guru says, who is coming down in the Guru Sishya Parampara. So Guru speaks from the scriptures and sadhus means all the practicing devotees, what they're doing. So this is what is the guidance given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, who is actually Krishna himself. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in Kali Yuga, the recommended process is this. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Eva Kevalam, Kalau Naste, 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 Gatiranneda. So in Kali Yuga, The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the incarnation who has given us the process and the most merciful incarnation. The Acharyas has taught us, they have proven us, and this is how we take this knowledge. Otherwise, there is always a question. If you worship any form of the Lord, then there is always a question why you are not worshipping other forms. Because how many forms are there? Innumerable forms. Innumerable. Who and all you will worship? So the Shastra says, okay, in Kali Yuga, this is Kali Yuga Dharma, chanting the holy name, guided by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the incarnation for Kali Yuga. Patita Pavana Hetu Tavai Avatara. So this is how the Acharya is glorifying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that in this modern age of Kali Yuga, this particular incarnation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is for the deliverance of all the fallen souls in Kali Yuga. So is the protector. So when we worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching the chant Hare Krishna, surrender to Krishna, and this is how we are taking. And then Acharya, the Prabhupada is teaching us this. So this is how. But there's nothing wrong if somebody has special inclination towards any specific form of the Lord. You can read about, you can chant their name, there's nothing wrong. But the best solution is what doctor recommends. You go to the medical shop, you see all around there's so many different types of medicines. You know, looks like all medicine I can take anyone. Yes, you can take. It may not work. What works is what doctor recommends. So follow the doctor's prescription. So our spiritual doctor has prescribed this, and we follow that. Okay.
So Prabhu, I remember if we worship Krishna, it's not a question. We don't have to worship any other. That's what happened.
Yeah. So the question is, if we worship Krishna, we don't have to worship anyone. Yes, it is just like watering the root. When you water the root, then all other branches, leaves, twigs, everything will be automatically taken care and nourished. There's no need as such, but there's nothing wrong in worshipping other forms. So we should not misunderstand. We should not behave fanatically. Oh no, we are Krishna devotees, so we don't believe in all other. We don't go to other temples. We don't worship anyone. We don't even care. Like we don't bother about. No, it's not like that. We should be very yes. So yes, worshipping Krishna is enough. If we do that, it will be done. Okay, what is the next question?
Online.
Oh, there is an online question. Okay, let me read some question. Can you read the question? Hare Krishna. So we'll take the online questions. There are some few here.
Prabhu, this question is coming from Shamna Mataji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can you please share some tips to memorize the verses?
Okay, memorize the verses. Okay, I can share some tips, but before I share the tips, I'll also give the disclaimer that there's so many different aspects of spiritual life. We not to worry about each and everything. We should understand one thing, that we all have, some abilities. Some people are good singers, they can sing nicely. Somebody can ask, Prabhuji, can you give us some tips on how to sing nicely? Somebody should be practical. If some of us are not given, good sense of music or singing. Of course, Krishna's kirtan does not depend on our singing abilities or any other abilities. You can still sing. But if you want to become a kirtaniya, a nice singer, then there's a little bit of on those abilities also has to be, assessed. And having said that, the same thing, some of us might have that acumen of, learning the verses very quickly, memorize, understand, and should be able to quote. But some of us may not have. Point what I'm making is, it is not a qualification or disqualification. Yes, if you have that acumen, you have that inclination, you have that interest to learn the verses, we must definitely. There's nothing wrong in that. But some of us may not have that, then we should not feel like, I'm useless. It is not a qualification, it's not a disqualification also. But yes, those who have the inclination is a great thing. And this is a nice way to engage our consciousness, to observe our consciousness, to use our intelligence. So some of the tips are like, mostly when we listen, we hear all these Prabhupada's lectures. Prabhupada keeps quoting a lot of, these verses. So just by hearing only, because it will come repeatedly multiple times, you start to get the sense of that what is happening, this verse has been quoted. So what works best is by hearing all those things again and again. And also, if you take the target, okay, my target is to learn this many verses, this many chapters, or something like that. Practice is repeatedly keep practicing it. Repeatedly. It's not like that today I learn the verse number 1, tomorrow verse number 2, day 30 verse number 30, day 60 verse number 60, and by then all the 30s are gone. And every day it should be repeated again and again, though you keep learning. So this repetition is the key. It might take like few minutes, but just repeat. And once you learn, just keep repeating whole day. Like say, today morning I learned one verse and I got confidence. Okay, now I know. So whole day while you are working, you're cooking, you're cleaning, or whatever you're driving, possible, just keep repeating to yourself multiple times. It will just get registered into your consciousness. And another important thing, and this is my style of learning, I don't try to mug up the verses like that. It will not work. More importantly, you should learn the meaning of the verse. And then Prabhupada books is beautifully, given all this word meaning. So spend some additional few minutes and look at those words and try to connect what is happening and then read the translation. So I generally go backward instead of, first memorizing the words. I first check the meaning and the translation, and then you can very easily grasp the words. So these are some of the tips. So yes, repeatedly keep chanting. And if you find the opportunity, even the most powerful way of learning and memorizing these verses are, if you get the chance to preach, to tell somebody, that is when you dig your memory. You might memorize, but when you have to talk to someone and say, oh, there is a verse in Bhagavad Gita, what was that? I memorized, I mug up, but now it is not coming. It will not come. It comes by practice. So if that opportunity is there, the chance is there to speak, then it will register. If you speak to someone, then it will register into your consciousness even faster. So these are some of the things. Your studies highly encourage that one should try to learn and memorize these verses. That is the way that we can nicely absorb our consciousness. Otherwise, something or other will go on in your consciousness like that. Okay, hope that answers your question. What is the other
This
question?
is Prabhu. Prabhuji, can you please help us understand how can we know our prarabdha is nearing completion? Is there any form of understanding it?
Read the second part of it.
How do we know if our prarabdha is
No, second part. Okay, that is another question. Okay, let me answer that. Okay, so how do we know that our prarabdha karma is nearing completion? How do we know? We can never know. That's the answer. We are not God. We are all limited, conditioned soul. So we cannot know. There's no way to know that, oh, what is my karma? What is my prarabdha karma? What did I do in my past so that I'm reaping the results in this way? There's no way to learn all of those things, and there's no need to learn all of those things. Right? All this theory of karma, law of karma has been explained not to do any hair splitting analysis. What did I do? Why I'm suffering today? What was that bad karma I did? And when did I do? That is not the point. Point is just understand this concept and develop the sense that any action I do, good or bad, I'll be held responsible. So I should feel more responsible after hearing and understanding those principles. I should not just randomly be having the way whatever I want to do. That's not the way. I'll be held responsible. I have to face the consequences. So let me, just very carefully act like this. So there's no way that how you can know all that, and it's not needed. Yeah. What is the second?
One more question, Prabhu. Also, one more question. How does detachment affect our karma? When someone feels detached from the world and daily activities, how to deal with it?
Yes, so when somebody feels detached from the world and the daily activity, how to deal with it? Very important and very critical question. Sometimes, it might feel like I'm detached, but it may not be detachment, it might be escapism. Sometimes you're frustrated about life, certain things are not going right, you're not getting along with someone, and suddenly you start feeling detached. That person, not necessarily it's a detachment. It's just a kind of escapism, some kind of a frustration that you don't want to be with those people, those situations, and like that. So we need to very clearly understand this idea of detachment. Detachment is not that we should not possess the things, we should not own the things. The detachment is all about the things should not own us. That is important. You can have anything and everything in the world. Still, you can be detached, and we have many, many examples of this great, saintly kings. They're all detached people, but still they own the position, they own the power, they have all the possessions, they're the kings, and like that. So, my answer would be to this don't try to prematurely, immaturely renounce and detach the things like that. There are certain roles and responsibility. It depends on which ashram we are into, especially when we are into Grastha ashram, household life. A duty bound to do certain responsibilities. You may not feel like doing it. You may not be excited about all those things. But despite all of that, keep aside your feelings and emotions and do as a matter of duty. So yeah, sometimes things may not work the way we want, but still we have to do the duties. So please determine carefully that certain things which are part of your duty, you need not to be detached. Arjuna was also trying to be detached. He was saying, I don't want to fight. I don't want the kingdom. I will go to the forest. But Krishna discouraged Arjuna. He says, as being a Kshatriya, your duty is to fight, to shoot the arrows, to kill the people. So it is easy in that fear, in that frustration, we might feel like, okay, let me just escape. Let me avoid this situation. I don't want to deal with it. And it might be difficult to sometimes, deal, but if it is difficult, still we have to do that like that. So this is the right way of, thinking about this. It is generic answer and might be very specific explanation to that. Yeah. Okay. Any other question? Question number 3. What is the best way to encourage one to increase their chanting? The more I attend the Gita and Bhagavatam classes, it is specifically told that one should chant. If we can have some of the devotees share their experiences from the chanting journey, that would be really beneficial. Okay. Yeah, very pertinent question. Chanting is the essence. You read all the entire Bhagavatam, 18,000 verses. The last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is about chanting. Nam Sankirtana Yasha Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranamo Dukha Shamnena Tam Namami Haripuram. So Nam Sankirtan, chanting of the holy name, is the essence given. So yes, we should take up. But yeah, sometimes we just feel ourselves, stuck at some level. So yes, definitely we all need the inspiration, we all need the encouragement. And that is why it is said in the scriptures, the devotee association. Machitta Madgata Prana Bodhyadasya Parasparam Katendasya Mam Nityam Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. So this devotee association is a very, very powerful thing for any spiritual practitioner. Just be in that association and then you will see that things will start automatically fall in place. Right. But when we talk about the association, we discussed in detail what is this association. Association is not about just physical proximity. Oh, no, no, we are in association. Every week we go to the temple. We sit in one of the corner where nobody comes and nobody talks to us. That is not association. Right. So association means we should interact. Bodhyantashya parasparam. Talk, discuss, share, ask, inquire. So this is the part of the association. And then we see, as you rightly already, this question is asking that if some devotees can share their experiences. So yes, they can share, provided you go and ask their experience. Can you share your experience? So if anybody wants to share their experience, you can share. I don't know whose question it is, but if anybody wants to share your experience, your journey of your chanting, how it started and how it benefited, maybe that might be inspiring for all of us to hear. Somebody wants to share something? Give the mic, they're waiting for the mic. Is that something, whatever, like, brief and short here, such?
Actually, it started with your help and with your guidance only. And initially, my wife is only doing, and I was not doing. And slowly like slowly it started. Of course, initially you pushed me, but now it's like we took the Sadaka go also. Now we are doing currently we are doing 8 rounds, and now it is like a part of our routine. And I would say this is really helpful because I can see the transformation. I can see people say there is no chamatkar kind of thing, but I can see things
Chamatkar
are
is also
happening.
happening.
These are happening. These are not. Although I am not eligible, not that pure, but still I can see the
Chanting
progress
helps.
and yeah.
Yes. So maybe you also need those one who asked this question, they also need some push. Somebody has to push. That is what is your conditioning, right? Prabhupada was pushing, you should do this book distribution, chanting, and some devotees they're saying, Prabhupada, in this country, especially in America, they don't like all this pushing, they want their own space and all of that. So saying, Prabhupada, it might look like you're too pushy. Prabhupada was saying that, yes, my spiritual master pushed me. I am pushing you, you go on pushing. We are pushing movement. Prabhupada in a very humorous way, he said that we are pushing movement. So the reality is we all need that push. We are so much in our own comfort zone. We don't want to easily break that comfort zone. So a little bit push is needed sometime. So we should allow someone to a little bit push us. We should not be just kind of, laid back and in our own style, in our own comfort zone. Yes, you can be, but again, we can't progress much. And yeah, be in the associate devotees, keep talking to them, and then you get the inspiration. These people also have their day job, their family to take care. And despite all of that, they're still able to achieve this. Then why not me? So that inspiration comes. So a devotee association is a powerful place to be inspired to do any kind of spiritual activity.
Even I want to share about association. So initially we were coming to this con from very long time, like maybe 5 years, but we were not associated like we should. But how we started is like Supriya Mataji actually one day asked us that can you do the Mandir Margin Seva, help in kitchen. Then somehow it is like a trigger. Uh, I did the vessel cleaning from next week onward. I just go myself. Somehow I feel connected and I just started doing and I feel like I have to do it. I kind of I cannot explain in words, but that gives us so much bliss, like some satisfaction. I don't know. It cannot be defined in words, but I want to do it more and more and it just
Yeah. So yeah, that is another important point you're bringing. So it's not about just keep listening all these lectures, sitting nicely, comfortably. Prabhupada says it's not an armchair philosophy that you come nicely, sit on a AC controlled room and nice chair, and then prasadam will be served. That is definitely the part of it. More important is seva. Seva is the process, right? We know that famous story of that Madan Mohan Malviya, a very famous, very renowned personality of his time. He came to meet Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, and he says, Swamiji, I have some question. Now, can you please help me to answer? So Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur Maharaj says that yes, I'll do that. But before that, if you can go and help, in washing those vessels with all those brahmacharis. He says, I can do. He's a big man. But out of respect to the sadhu, he says, yes, I'll do that. So he goes there and then he helps with all washing the vessels, DT vessels and all that. And then after a while, he comes back to Bhaktivinoda Thakur Maharaj. And then he asks, okay, now what are your questions? He said, no questions. All questions are answered. So it's very mystical process. One has to experience. This kind of statement may not make sense. Hey, what are you talking? Unless you answer my question, how do I know the answers? But it's a very, very mystical process. Seva, devotional service, Divya Gyan, Hriday Prakashito. All the knowledge will be transmitted into the heart when we engage in devotional service. Right? So, like that. So, we should understand if we really want to progress, it cannot be just some intellectual activity, exercise that listen all nice lectures, read all the books. That is Important, we should definitely do that. Listening is important, reading is important, but it should not limit to all of that. One should engage in practical devotional service. Can be any service, can be some menial service like cleaning the temple, mandir marjan, or any other service within your capacity, but one should extend himself or herself to engage in the seva. If nobody is asking you to do the seva, you go and ask. That is there any seva for me? Can I do something? Few minutes, few hours, few days, but we should do that. That helps.
So, I can share my
See, I feel that I am getting less and less attached to this material world since I'm here for more than a year. It's not like I want a brand new car, house, and all. That is becoming very, very less now. I just, as long as I can lead a good spiritual life, it's like it's getting better and better. I can clearly sense.
Okay, so chanting is help you to become more detached from material world. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that will help. Another question is, how can we distinguish between whether it is Krishna's will or it is our personal choice? Yeah, these are all very practical questions. Krishna's will or our choice? Again, there is a very thin line. I may say, oh no, maybe Krishna wants me not to get this, so I'm just sleeping only. All right. So Prabhupada explains that this material world is designed in such a way. Today morning we are hearing Nahi suptasya singasya mriganti mukhe nirga. So it says even in this world is designed like that. Even the king of the jungle, suptasya singasya, singa means the lion. He also cannot say that I'm the king here. I'll be sleeping. I'm most powerful, and whenever I feel hungry, I should just open my mouth. Some animal should come and enter into my mouth. Even the king of the jungle, has to work hard in this world. Right? So we all had to work hard. And how much hard work we should do? That is a question. So we should do with best of our ability, best of our discrimination. Whatever, don't leave any single stone unturned. All the possible means you should do. And after doing that, when you just make sure that there was no other thing that is left, then you just be surrendered to Krishna. So the one liner to remember this is, when you work or when you try to achieve anything in this world, work as if everything depends on you. You should think, if I don't do this, if we don't try this, let me try that also. Let me talk to this person also. Let me explore one more option also. As if everything belongs to you. And once you're done, then you should think, now everything belongs to Krishna. Everything depends on Krishna. So when you act as if everything depends on you. And once you are done, then everything depends on Krishna. This is how it is. And how to distinguish what exactly it is Krishna choice or will. Again, there's no formula as such, but the simple guideline is do your best and leave the rest. Time will unfold. So you just make sure tomorrow you should not feel, oh, I wish I could have tried that also. And then you regret. So that much you just make sure that you tried everything possible within your ability, within your capacity. And after that, whatever happens, take it as a will of the Lord. That is the guideline. So this is how we can understand all of that. Okay. Okay. Any other question, Prabhu? Gunawardhi is also studying. Our personal vices affect and reflects our life a lot, especially in decision making. How to check and correct our personal biases? Yes, this is what is our conditioned nature. We have our liking, dislikings, dvanda. This is how our conditioning is. But gradually, by our spiritual practices, we just transcend all those things. It requires a lot of practice, that slowly we say that, okay, it is not my liking or my disliking. You should apply the filter. What Krishna likes, what Prabhupada likes, what will please Krishna. So when we start applying that filter, that lens, So then biases you can easily, relatively you can transcend, because you may like certain things, but if you understand, if you don't understand, take the guidance. If you understand, oh, it is not in line with Krishna consciousness, it is not in line with what my guru says, what the devotee says, then probably it might be, I might be more inclined toward this side, but I'll still not do this. I'll go other side. If that pleases Krishna, I'm better. Like that. Example is, again, Arjuna is the example. His inclination was not fighting, getting detached, renouncing the kingdom and all of that. But then at the end of Bhagavad Gita, his perception was changed. And he said, Karishye Vachanam Dava, that Krishna, whatever you say, I just will follow that. So if that becomes our command, that whatever Krishna says, whatever my spiritual master says, again, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, I'll go by that, not by my interest, my inclination, my preferences, So that is how we can gradually transcend all of those things. Again, it will take a little time. It needs more guidance, more practice. But yeah, that is a very generic answer.
We have two more to go, if we can quickly.
Yeah, we can cover. Okay, question number 6. It is said that developing unalloyed love for the Lord is the goal of human life. A few practical tips from our scriptures to progress toward this goal would be very beneficial. Practical tips from our scriptures to progress towards this goal would be very beneficial. Okay, so there's some guidelines are given how to. So the goal is to develop the love for Krishna. How to achieve this? All guidelines are given by your acharyas. So it begins with Adu Shraddha Dada Sadhu Sangha Bhajan Kriya Anartha Nivritti Shad, and then Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhav, and Prem. These are all the different stages to achieve Krishna Prem, right? So we should go by whatever all these guidelines are there, that it begins with Shraddha. We all have the Shraddha. We are already on that stage. That is why we are all here and attending on this session. So with Shraddha, you come in the association. Sadhu Sangha happens. And Sadhu Sangha means we are open for hearing. And not only just hearing, but you try to apply, implement all of that. And the first implementation will be Bhajan Kriya. Sincerely following the instruction by the Acharya. Chanting, reading, leading a Krishna conscious life. Then by that process, what happens is anartha nivrati will happen. All the unwanted desires, all the vices, all the contamination start getting purified slowly. And to the degree we get purified in our heart, to that degree comes nishtha. Nishtha means we become more and more fixed up in our devotional service. What is stopping us to become more fixed up in devotional life? Or anartha. We have Kam, Krodh, Lobh, and all of that. These are the vices. They're pulling you away. So the process is sadhu sangha, bhajan kriya, and all of that. When you do chant nicely, sincerely, attentively, all these anarthas gets more and more cleared. You gets purer and purer. Then you become more fixed. Then comes ruchi. Ruchi means interest comes. Then asakti, attachment comes. Then bhav, and then prem. So this is the ladder. This is the process. So most of us are on the stage 3 and 4, bhajan kriya and anartha nivrati. And to the degree with the sincerity, to what sincerity you do the bhajan kriya, chanting. Sometimes chanting can be just like tick mark. Okay, finished. 16 nouns. Mind is somewhere doing one hand something, one hand chanting. Those kind of chanting, I won't say that it's not helpful, but the benefits of this kind of chanting will be very, very meager. So we should first ask that how can I improve this, processes? How can I bring some quality to my chanting? How can I increase? Prabhupada says first to increase your quantity, and once you reach the quantity, like say already we are chanting 16 nouns, then our question should be how to bring the quality. So that should be the question. So we work on that. We don't really, too much bother about when that love for Krishna will develop in my heart. I'm waiting for that day. And that is not in our hand. You do what you can do, and then Krishna will do what we cannot do. So we should just make sure that how we very sincerely, very seriously follow all the instruction of Srila Prabhupada, chanting, daily reading, devotee association, seva, and leading Krishna conscious life, eating only prasadam, no bhoga, no onion garlic, and all of these things will happen. It will lead us gradually towards more and more developing the love for Krishna. This is the way. Maybe last question. If someone very close to you passed away in sleep with no one around, then how do we correlate verses 8.5 and 8.6 to their final moments? Yeah. So 8.5 and 6 says that Andakalecha Mameva Smarana Muktva Kalevaram. At the time of death, anyone remembers me, Krishna is saying, then immediately he comes back to me. That is the principle. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tejati ante kalevaram. Whatever state of consciousness one have at the time of departure, that state he will attain. So this is the principle. But if somebody passed away in sleep, no one around, then how do we correlate? Yeah, we cannot know all those things for sure, but these are the principles. They're all absolute principles, absolute truth, which is given in the scriptures. So point is, I may not know that how this person was thinking when he passed away, but Krishna knows, and that is more important. If you know also what you can do, if you know this person was not thinking of Krishna, what you will do? Nothing. You will just lament, oh my God, I wish he could have think of Krishna. So yes, is there any way to know? There's no way. If would have been some way, then it will be nice. But that is not important thing. Important thing is Krishna knows everything. So how do we determine is if you know that person, that this person has been serving Krishna, has been practicing Krishna consciousness, engaged in devotional life, most of his life very sincerely, then Krishna's guarantee is there that I will take care. Somebody asked Srila Prabhupada that Swamiji, if somebody has been chanting, practicing Krishna consciousness all their life, but circumstantially at the time of death, he couldn't chant, he couldn't remember Krishna, what will happen? Looks like all his endeavors and efforts gone in vain, just because he couldn't remember Krishna at the time of death. Prabhupada says, if somebody has sincerely done that, remember Krishna, serve Krishna all their life, and if they are not able to remember Krishna at the time of death, Krishna will remember them. Krishna is a very personal God. He will not say, oh, no, you did not remember me at the time of death, get lost. The deal is time of death. I don't care what you did all life. It's not like that. So somebody has done so many possibilities are there in this world. It's a dangerous place. Somebody might die in an accident, some blast or something. They don't even get the chance to even remember Krishna. That is why it is said, every time, Satatam Kirtayanto Mam, because you never know. The next moment what happens is we have enough time. Anything can happen. So that is how we should develop our consciousness, cultivate our consciousness, wherein with 24/7, Man Mana Bhavad Makto, Krishna says, always think of me, always remember me. Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. This constant remembrance will be there in the back of your consciousness. Externally, you might be engaged in so many worldly things, but at the back of your consciousness, Krishna is always there. Not take chance, but in case Krishna did not come into our consciousness, Krishna will remember us. So rest assured.
But beside that, we can also just be in our subconscious and we can just chant those.
Okay, so we are asked to chant 16 nouns, so one can chant 16 nouns, which takes only 2 hours. And then what we do after that? Yes, we should be constantly keep chanting. You can chant loudly, you can chant in your mind. So yes, the chanting on the rounds, like on the mala, 16 rounds or whatever, this is like your committed seva. Okay, this is my daily seva to the Naam Jap. So I'll sit and very focused, very concentrated, and this is my seva. I'm doing this. But 24 hours, we should be keep chanting, remembering. Now, remembering Krishna doesn't really, not necessarily mean that it should be only just chanting Hare Krishna, but somebody is, just thinking something, oh, what was the discussion in today's Bhagavatam class? Thinking, you're contemplating, you're trying to apply something in your day-to-day life. You're thinking about some seva. Oh, now I have to finish this, I have to go to the temple, my seva is pending. So everything is all about thinking of Krishna, like that. Devotees, when they go out for book distribution, all right. So they think a lot, okay, now how to catch someone, what should I say to this person, how to trick this person into taking, giving one Bhagavad Gita. So it might sound like, oh, these people are like, some using some marketing tips and how to trap that person and then just give one book. But this is also Krishna consciousness. Everything is for Krishna. Somebody has to build the temple. So somebody is always thinking that, how to build, how to get the money, all the resources and different things like that. It is as good as thinking of Krishna. One devotee, he was asking Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan when that temple it was under construction. So this devotee who was in charge of this construction, he was having a hard time. And I was not a Indian body devotee, American young boy. And then dealing with all this Indian style working, all kinds of politics, tricking. Nobody's straight in India. They say something, they do something else. So it was a completely different, dealings, and he was getting frustrated, too overwhelming for him. So he asked Srila Prabhupada, and those days, getting cement for construction was not an easy thing. It was not available in those days, 70s and all that. So this devotee, he felt overwhelmed. And he asked one time Prabhupada, I don't know like what to do. All the time in my mind, I'm thinking about cement, 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 cement. Even I'm chanting Hare Krishna, my 16 rounds. Inside in my mind, I'm chanting cement. So much anxiety is there, so I don't know this is the right thing or not. Prabhupada said, your cement will take you back to Krishna. Now of course, it is not a like standard instruction that, oh, we can think whatever. But question is, he's anxious about Krishna's seva. So like that, so we can create our life around Krishna consciousness in such a way that we always remember Krishna, we never forget Krishna. And then there is a possibility at the time of death, we'll remember Krishna, and if we don't remember, Krishna will remember us. So we're not worrying. Right. So that's the guarantee given. And that is how Srila Prabhupada, says one time somebody kind of challenging Srila Prabhupada. That Swamiji, you just keep saying Krishna, Krishna, so much Krishna, Krishna, do this, do that. What if at the end of your life you realize, you understand, there's no Krishna actually? No, that was the question. There's no Krishna. What you will do? So Prabhupada very calmly he answered. He says, look at our life. We get up early in the morning. As soon as we get up, we sing, we dance. After we do our japa, then we eat nice prasadam. We lead a very sattvic life, very happy, blissful life. We celebrate festivals, jump, dance, and all that. This is like our daily life is like a festival. So if you assume that there's no Krishna at the end of the life, what is the loss? We anyway enjoyed our life. And then Prabhupada asked the question to this person. Say, what if at the end of your life, you get to know that there is a Krishna? What you will do? You just wasted your life. One chance was given, human life was given, you just wasted it. So we can take the risk. It's a worth to take this risk. There's no loss. That is what Krishna says, that there's no loss or diminution on this path. Swalpamapiyasya dharmasya. So if you're not sure about what will happen at the end of the life and this and that is the question. So what is the loss? You're living wonderful life, blissful life, peaceful life, enjoying everyday parties going on, singing, dancing, eating. What else you need? Right? Devotees can dance hours and hours in the kirtan. Nobody can dance. People go in the parties to dance on the DJ. First they have to drink. They should be unconscious what they're doing. Then only they can dance. Otherwise they get tired or they're too conscious how people are looking at me. All those kind of things. So it's a wonderful process. We should take it very, very seriously. We are all very fortunate.
Prabhu,
Yes.
they say Prabhupada passed away with the word Lord Krishna. Is it true?
Prabhupada is 24 hours.
Uh,
Krishna, chanting
Before
Krishna.
passing away, they said that was his last word. Is it true?
Yes, not before passing away, 24 hours. Prabhupada is in Krishna consciousness. Okay, so we'll stop with this. Thank you everyone. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, those who are joining online. Hare Krishna. Somebody saying something?